Running a company is pretty hard. And I don't just mean like hiring employees, managing payroll, dealing with taxes and compliance and all that stuff. It sucks, but those things aren't quite hard in the traditional sense. They're just a ton of work. What is hard is all of the weird shit that starts to happen when you run a business that has actual users and goes actual places. I've been learning this a lot, especially recently, because there are whole industry categories I haven't thought about that are somehow managing to ruin things for me, my customers, and my startup. And I just need to vent a bit because what the fuck, Malwarebytes? And I wish it was just them. I don't want to pick on them too hard, even though their stuff was relatively egregious. They're just one of many people here who have screwed me over. This is going to be a wild journey from rogue antivirus software to terrible services that pretend they're protecting you from threats, to weird policies that exist on networks, to horrible forums and some of the worst UI and forms I've ever had to fill out or not even be able to fill out in my life. I have went through so much pain because of companies like this. If you watch my video in the past about the itch.io drama, it's similar. And I almost feel like I cursed myself doing that video because I got 900,000 views and also immediately had to deal with a lot of similar things. So let's dive into how companies like Malwarebytes and other similar threat analysis companies kind of screw over startups and early stage businesses because it is horrible. Do you know what isn't horrible though? Today's sponsor. So let's hear from them really quick. Today's sponsor is Appwrite. And if you like shipping, you should check these guys out, because they let you build like a team of hundreds. They're effectively an all-in-one backend that you can set up in minutes to handle everything from data to files to authentication to live updates and so much more. We're talking about 4 lines of code to add auth, not many more to add new types of data to your database. You can create documents, call it all directly here. It's all fast as hell too, because they have in-memory caching for it. Storage, Upload Thing devs, they have their own if you don't want to find a platform like that. If you're tired of meshing all these things together, combining Vercel and their functions with a database from somewhere else, with auth from somewhere else, and file storage from somewhere else, Appwrite just does it all for you with a single SDK. And of course, they support real-time as well, free, unlimited subscriptions, so everybody in your app gets data as soon as it changes instead of having to refetch and pull and do all the chaos around there. And in case you're concerned about privacy, security, and longevity, you don't have to be. It's fully open source and you can self-host if you want to and throw it in your own cloud instead. They support basically every tool you would reasonably use in 2024, even Flutter, which is awesome because now you have one platform that works for your web app in Next.js, your Android app in Flutter, and your iOS app in Swift. Thank you, Appwrite, for sponsoring today's video and curing decision fatigue. Check them out today at soidev.link/Appwrite. Malwarebytes is just one of 3. Malwarebytes and a couple others were really screwing with Upload Thing. We also just had one of these from Akamai on T3 chat. So I was hoping this was just because we had a CDN, but it is not. This can happen to anyone at any point, so be cautious. I'm going to start with the initial hell that we went through with ThreatStop. I want to tell the story of how I experienced this though. I recently changed DNS over to Quad 9. I love it. The reason I changed to it is I wrote a script to check all like the major DNS providers to see which had the lowest latency. And Quad 9 was the lowest because apparently they have a warehouse relatively close to where I live in SF, which meant that I could get way faster DNS. And I've been very happy with Quad 9. It also does some pretty good like threat analysis and blocking, and overall, really good service. I was working on a project with Upload Thing, and I was uploading files, going to the links, and they weren't working. I was very confused. So I went to an existing service with Upload Thing, opened one of the links, and it also didn't work. I immediately started panicking. I did not think about my DNS. I just thought something went wrong with our service, that Upload Thing might be down, that the UTF-SIO CDN that we use for hosting the files was having an issue. Maybe it went down, maybe the domain got seized. Something had to have gone wrong. And I also knew that at some point, Cloudflare had hit us up that there was reported malware on our service. We had long ago removed it. I didn't think it would be a big deal because it was over a month ago that had happened, but I was scared. So I opened a VPN, tried going to the same domain, same files, and it worked. Oh yeah, I just changed my DNS. I'm going to go check. One of the awesome things Quad9 does, and God, I would kill for all the other services that I had to deal with to do this, is you can look up your domain and they will tell you if it's blocked or not. And if it is, they'll tell you where all the sources are. Also, God bless them. When I realized that UTF-SIO was blocked, I emailed them through their support link. Got a response in like 20 minutes. That was really, really good. Thanks for contacting Quad9 support. You'll likely run into this issue again in the future unless you submit UTF-SIO as a public suffix. The public suffix registry is a registry for domains where the front, like the subdomain, is able to be created by users. So like Vercel.app, which is the test place to deploy things on Vercel, that's a public suffix because anyone can deploy something.vercel.app. So if you ban all Vercel.apps because one person shipped malware on it, then every single thing deployed on Vercel might break. Horrible. Terrible. So the public suffix list is an open source list that you can get your domains added to if you can prove that the subdomains on them are publicly creatable. It turns out we actually couldn't be on this list because we don't have a different subdomain for every user. We have utfs.io / and then a path for different users. So although we tried to submit, I got some really helpful advice from the people who work on it that technically we weren't qualified. Our new process for domains is, so we'll likely be in there in the near future, but for now, we couldn't be. Still a very helpful resource. For him to bring it up is awesome. He also linked the specific threat identifier that they were working with that had labeled us as bad. Also showed us this virus total thing that will list all of the different security threat vendors and how they have your site flagged at the moment. One of the best support responses I've ever gotten, especially considering the fact this is a support response for a free and open source service on like a Friday night. On New Year's Eve, by the way. Awesome. Huge shout out to Zach from Quad9. This made me go from like, yeah, Quad9 is pretty good DNS to holy fucking shit, coolest company ever. I should go donate money to them. Remind me to later, I actually will. They're awesome. Great response, saved me so much time and trouble. But sadly, the trouble had only begun because we recognized from that virus total list that a handful of these companies are not so easy to deal with. ThreatStop was particularly bad. I hit them up on Twitter because there was no real other way to do it. Believe me, I tried. As I called out here, when I tried to fill out their form, I would get this error, no matter what I did. I tried different DNS. I tried different ISPs because I have 3 of them. I tried VPNs. I tried operating systems. I tried browsers. I tried phones. I tried everything. Eventually, a community member hit me up and got this form to submit using Firefox Mobile on an old phone through an AT&T line, and it was the only way we could actually make this form fucking submit. Whew. That was just one of them. Yeah, as I said, I tried everything. I tried on a separate Windows machine in Edge with a different ISP entirely. I'm not convinced this form works at fucking all. Whew. And that wasn't even the worst form, by the way. I tried another one here. This was GData, who also had us flagged. I came up here and filmed this at 3:50 in the morning because I was so pissed. I want to show you guys this flow because you need to understand how hilariously bad it is. Cool, except sure. First and foremost, there is no appeal a safe URL. There is only submit suspicious URL. So we'll go here. We wait for a while for it to load. Express that I am a human with a new CAPTCHA. They might have actually redone this since. Cool. utfs.io. Hit next. I'm going to check. The website has been incorrectly classified. Cool. They have the right thing. Click. Hit next. Where did I find it? Huh? I just clicked the drop down and it kicked me back a step. I clicked next to go where I was and it just went 3 steps down and then kicked me back here in the view. Okay, I'm going to click this again. Wait, I can't use this checkbox. I am not convinced that this form can be filled out on desktop. There is no way to get to the submit. And if you do manage to get to that final page and you hit submit, it says missing information because it skips chunks of the form constantly. It's unusable. It's not like, oh, I think it should be better. I literally could not submit this form. I spent an hour trying. I came up here and filmed a video raging about how impossible it was to just let them know that they had incorrectly flagged my account and flagged my domain. I hit them up pretending to be press because technically I am, asking them for comments on the drama with upload thing, trying to get them to tell me the hard number of how many of these appeals actually get through, because my guess is they changed this form at some point and suddenly no one was reporting false positives anymore. The solution for this one also ended up being mobile, funny enough. If you open this on a mobile browser with the right viewport, it renders an entirely different form for mobile, and that one worked. I'm dying. This is just insane. I actually couldn't fathom that this was this bad. I was going to try and reverse engineer the form post to do it that way, but thankfully I'm popular, so I could bitch on Twitter and someone else was able to figure it out for me, submit all my info and get it handled. Still took 3 days, but yeah. And we're only at the start. I called out the 2 companies that had us flagged, which, weird coincidence. The 2 companies that flagged us were also the 2 companies with the most incompetent methods for submitting false positive reports. One of them had a form that would not submit, it would just error. The other had a form that you couldn't fill out. It would just spam back and forth constantly. Since GDAT wasn't on Twitter, I spammed them on LinkedIn, which ended up being what worked, funny enough. Sent them the fake press email. Apparently, others have had a lot of problems with them. This is very common. These threat intelligence companies they make like random boot camp devs look like fucking software gods. Genuinely unbelievable. Thankfully, there are some good threats analysis companies, right? Like Malwarebytes has some positivity. Oh, Malwarebytes. This happened about a week later, after we had finally finished dealing with everything with those other domains. We had actually blocked all .exe and other executable uploads from UploadThing, unless you're on the paid tier, and blocked them from the dashboard entirely. Despite all of that, we still somehow got flagged by Malwarebytes weeks later. And we knew this because a user of ours had just launched a new service using UploadThing, and one of their new customers was unable to look at the pictures and other things they uploaded because their company was all running Malwarebytes, which just silently blocked our domain. The most fun part is you cannot get any of this info unless you have Malwarebytes installed. Unlike Quad9, they don't have a website you can go to and say, hey, my domain is flagged. Can you give me more info? They make you install the app, sign up for a subscription, and then try to go to the website in order to get any information about if it's blocked, much less why. And if you think, okay, that's bad, well, hopefully their report flow is better. It's better than a form that doesn't work, but not by much. The reporting wasn't public. That was annoying. But when you actually want to flag a false positive, the only way to do it is to make an account in their forum, go to the false positives website blocking thread, and make a post in it discussing that you were false positive blocked, and just wait for a random staff that checks the forum to catch it, deal with it, and help you. What the fuck? I think I put my thread in here. Yeah, I said, here's a link to my thread. I do not encourage brigading, which, by the way, if I made it clear, do not flame any of these companies, not flame any of these people. They don't deserve to get shit on by tens of thousands of people coming from my audience. They just deserve to feel really bad so they can fix the shit. But here's the thread. Hey, y'all, just got a report from UploadThing customers that we had this issue. Months ago, we had a single malicious file. We purged it. We're still getting flagged. What the fuck? Please fix. I noticed that this wasn't getting addressed. This was hurting one of my customers. And when one of my customers is getting screwed over, I can't sleep. If one of my customers is not able to do something that I could possibly be advancing in any way, I will go insane until the thing is fixed. And that's kind of what I did here. The reason I went on Twitter, the reason I did all these other things was very specifically because I wanted to make sure my customer was not having these problems with their new product they had just launched. The fact that UploadThing was the most stressful part of this customer's launch was genuinely heartbreaking. It made me feel so terrible that we've been rebuilding all of how files are resolved to make this impossible in the future. I feel that bad. So part of feeling bad was lurking this forum and refreshing it every 2 minutes, seeing if they fucking responded. And after a while, they hadn't responded. So I went to the staff page and realized you can just see all the people who are staff. And if you lurk enough and go to enough of the places, they have weirdly good presence on the site where you can see who is currently browsing things. I use that to figure out which staff are online and start tagging them. And also mention that my 200,000 Twitter followers knew about this in hopes that it might accelerate things, which it did. Advanced setup, made an internal request. Turns out that this was going to take a while because it was the weekend and it was also between shift changes. Eventually, someone else came in. Though I didn't create the block, I've gone ahead and disabled it until we can get some clarification from our team regarding why it was blocked. Mind you, timestamps on this. Does it give me a more specific one here? It doesn't. There was a good bit of time between these posts. More staff came in, said they understand why it was frustrating. They've adjusted the block to not impact me while protecting customers because apparently they found a zip file that had something in it that hadn't been flagged to us in the past. We immediately deleted it, deleted the user account, purged everything that ever uploaded, added the hash to our list of hashes that are bad to not let users up, did all the things. But if they had just hit me up, letting me know that there was a zip that a user had uploaded on my generic file upload service that was bad, instead of blocking a CDN used by hundreds of thousands of developers across millions of sites and services, that would have been nice. It is insane that this is in a fucking forum, though, that I had to register in this stupid ancient PHPBB bullshit in order to tell them that my site was down, and I had to tag a bunch of staff and also be famous in order to get this handled. If you hover, it says it doesn't, though. I'm hovering, and okay, it says way later. Okay, so this was 8:23. And finally, over an hour later, which was probably 2+ hours after I posted, over 2 hours after I posted and had tagged staff and been told they were on it, they finally unblocked the domain. And the best part is the unblock isn't immediate because they have to send out an updated client manifest to all of their customers to let them know that the site is safe now. And that took another day or so. In fucking sanity. And if this was the end, I would be relieved. But we just got another similar notice yesterday. Akamai blocked T3 chat. What? This is another one of those really fun ones where they don't give you any info. They give you this wonderful malware website warning. Do you know why they flagged us as malware? Because I figured it out. I figured it out because we were lucky enough that one of my followers/friends, somebody who paid attention to all this, happened to be a close collaborator with Akamai and hit them up in their shared Slack, escalating it. Turns out they'll just blanket block a recently registered domain. Instead of flagging this as a recently registered domain, they flagged it as malware. What the actual fuck? Yeah. Turns out running a company and a startup is hard, and it's not because of all the things that are involved in running the startup traditionally. It's because shit threat analysis companies make your life miserable simply for having a domain that people use. Whew. How are we here? How is it this bad? I'm lucky that this went okay for us, but as I said in the itch.io video, it can happen to anyone, including a big company like itch.io. I thought, at the very least, this is only a thing for websites that have user-generated content. Like itch.io lets people upload things that theoretically could be violating someone's copyright. It's bullshit that their whole site could be taken down for that, but the risk makes some minuscule amount of sense because it's a user hosting platform that allows for users to upload things that might be in violation. You can't host anything on T3 chat, and we still got hit because we bought a new domain. What? This can happen to anyone. Okay, now imagine you're Amazon and S3 gets blocked for a similar reason. Do you know how many Malwarebytes customers are going to flip a shit that S3 is blocked? They can't do it. The incentives for Malwarebytes and the incentives for companies like it are to not ever block popular things because their customers will be mad, but blindly block things from early stage companies and startups because their customers don't know any better and are going to blame the startup. And I do not blame any of our customers for being upset with us over this. If I was an Upload Thing customer and my site stopped working because of these bans, I don't care. I'm blaming Upload Thing. So if you're upset with us for this, I fully understand. I take full ownership. This is a problem that we are working really hard fucking overtime to make sure it can't keep happening. But I'm going to complain too. And my complaint goes to the bullshit threat analysis companies that don't know how to write a fucking form, that are down to ruin lives of other startups and hurt their customers because they're too lazy to do their goddamn jobs. And I will never ever pretend that what they're doing is worth it when this is the shit that can happen. And I am thankful that I am famous enough to get it addressed, because if I wasn't popular, we would have just been screwed. If I didn't have an audience that could do this type of outreach, that could connect me with the right people to get these things resolved, I would have been screwed. And it feels like your only option to host a website with user-generated content in modern times is to have been doing it for 20 years and have a bunch of customers, or be famous. Those are your literal only options, and that is unfair. The fact that an Upload Thing competitor can't succeed because if they don't have enough reach, they will get banned the same way and it can't get fixed is genuinely horrifying to me. And I hope that the amount of shame these companies feel from content like this helps prevent this for whatever startups deal with it in the future. That's all I got. I am genuinely so sorry to any customers who are affected by either T3 chat being filtered or all the Upload Thing chaos associated with all this. It sucks. I am sorry. These are things I need to find the best possible ways to account for. And believe me, we are working our asses off to figure this out going forward. Thank you for sticking with us. And if you do churn over this, I understand. And I am genuinely really sorry. That all said, fuck Malwarebytes. Fuck every one of these threat analysis companies. You should go out of business because you're bad at your jobs. Until next time, peace, nerds.